Get this roadside beggar and his daughter out of my hotel. Dare Balogun Allo's voice cracked across the marble lobby. Before Sola Adebayo could answer, Marcus seized his worn canvas bag. The strap snapped. Clothes spilled across the floor. A framed photograph dropped beside them. It shattered. Eve fell to her knees, staring at the broken picture of her late mother, while laughter rose behind the reception desk. Dare pointed at Sola Adebayo's faded orange polo. A man who cannot afford decent clothes wants to sleep in a 5-star hotel. Sir, even the air here is above your level. Halima rushed forward. Oga, stop! His room was paid for this morning. I checked it myself. Dare turned. Then pack your things too. The lobby froze. Sola looked at the crack across his wife Alo's face. He did not shout. He did not beg. He only asked, "Is this how you treat every guest who looks too poor to fight back?" What happened next would destroy careers and expose a secret buried inside the hotel. Do not leave before the truth comes out. Comment your city and your local time below, then subscribe, because this story is only beginning. 6 hours earlier, the rain had not yet started. Lagos was carrying its usual Friday burden. Horns shouted along Ozumba Mbadiwe Avenue. Danfo buses squeezed into spaces that did not exist. Motorcycles slipped between cars like restless thoughts. Above the traffic, towers of glass reflected a hard white sky. On the 23rd floor of Crestline House, Sola Adebayo stood beside a window and read the same page for the 3rd time. The report was only 9 pages long. It was enough to disturb him. The Marula Grand Hotel had recorded an occupancy rate of 92% for 4 straight months. That should have been good news. Yet the average room revenue had fallen by 11%. 37 prepaid guests had been marked as no-shows, even though location logs suggested that many of them had reached Victoria Island. 19 formal complaints had disappeared after being entered into the hotel system. 11 refund files carried signatures that did not match earlier registration documents. And then there was the staff turnover. 61% in less than 1 year. Too high. Far too high. Sola placed the report on the conference table. He was 46, broad across the shoulders, with the kind of still face people often mistook for softness. His charcoal suit jacket lay over the back of a chair. His sleeves were rolled to his elbows. He had built companies across hospitality, transport, and food distribution, but the first business he ever understood was a 12-room guest house his parents had run in Ibadan. There, he had carried luggage before he could drive. He had washed bedsheets when the old machine failed. He had once spent an entire night beside a noisy generator because a newly married couple had paid for a room and deserved light. He remembered the smell of diesel more clearly than the smell of money. Across the table, Eve closed her laptop. She was 20, sharp-eyed and composed, wearing a light aqua blouse and dark trousers. Her university project was supposed to examine guest experience in privately managed hotels. What she had found in her father Alo's own company was becoming something else. "This is not only poor service," she said. "Somebody is using the way guests looked to decide who can be cheated." Sola looked at her. "You reached that conclusion quickly." "The complaints are similar. Guests who booked through discounted platforms. Guests who arrived in ride-hailing cars. Guests wearing ordinary clothes. They are marked as difficult, confused, or unable to prove payment. Rich-looking walk-in guests then take their rooms at a higher rate." She turned the laptop towards him. One complaint had been saved as a screenshot before it vanished from the system. The writer said he had arrived at 9:17 p.m. after a delayed flight. His room was already occupied. The front office manager told him his card had failed, though the money had left his account. When he protested, security escorted him outside. It had rained that night, too. Sola read the final sentence. I was not angry because the room was gone. I was angry because they looked at my shirt and decided I was lying. The room became quiet. Sola lowered the screen. The scheduled audit is on Monday. He said. Ease shook her head. They know about Monday. I know. The last 3 audits were clean because they prepared for them. Fresh flowers, smiling staff, complete files. Then the complaints begin again. I know that too. Ease leaned back. So what do you want to do? Sola walked to the side table where a canvas travel bag rested. It was brown, faded, and carefully mended at one strap. Beside it lay a burnt orange polo shirt, dark jeans, and an old pair of black shoes. Ease stared at the clothes. No, Sola almost smiled. You have not heard the plan. I can see the plan. You want to enter your own hotel, dressed like somebody they will despise. I made a reservation yesterday. Under what name? My name. That is not a disguise. I never said it was. I used my personal card and no title. The hotel is owned by Crestline Hospitality Holdings. Most of the staff have never met me. The acquisition was handled by the operating company. Ease folded her arms. And you think this is wise? I think reports have stopped telling me the truth. That is because people are afraid. Not because the truth is unavailable. Sola paused. She continued. If you go there and allow people to suffer in front of you because you want stronger evidence, you may learn something about them. But I will also learn something about you. The words landed cleanly. Sola did not defend himself. He had raised Ease alone since her mother died 6 years earlier. In those 6 years, his daughter had become the person least impressed by his authority. That was one reason he trusted her. What do you suggest? He asked. Go, observe, but the moment safety is involved or somebody is being harmed because of us, we stop it. Agreed. And I am coming. No. Yes, Ease. Daddy, you asked me to study guest experience. I am not going to sit in this office and study a spreadsheet while you turn yourself into an experiment. Sola squeezed his face. Ease pointed at him. Do not use that Chairman Allo's expression on me. It does not work in this family. For the first time that afternoon, he laughed. At 3:26 p. Sola changed into the orange polo. He left his executive watch in a drawer and wore a simple black one. He packed 1 change of clothes, toiletries, a small food container, and the framed photograph of his wife that usually stood beside his bed. Ease noticed the photograph. Why are you carrying Mummy Allo's picture? The bag belonged to her. That is not an answer. He rubbed his thumb over the wooden frame. Whenever I travel without a proper reason, she used to say I should at least carry a witness. Ease Allo's expression softened. She would say this plan is dramatic. She married me. She tolerated drama. No, she tolerated you. They left Crestline House through the staff entrance. Sola Adebayo's driver remained behind. They booked an ordinary ride to Victoria Island. The Marula Grand stood at the end of a wide driveway lined with trimmed palms. Its glass entrance rose 3 stories high. Gold letters shone above revolving doors. Through the windows, chandeliers floated over a cream marble lobby. The hotel looked expensive. That was the easiest thing for a hotel to do. At 4:18 p.m., their car stopped behind a silver luxury vehicle. Rain had begun to gather in the air, though the first drops had not fallen. A doorman rushed past Sola and Ease before the driver had fully opened the boot. He spread a large black umbrella for the couple stepping out of the silver car, though there was no rain yet. Sola lifted the canvas bag himself. Ease took her small suitcase. They walked towards the entrance. A security supervisor in a dark emerald uniform moved into their path. His name badge read Marcus Ibe. He looked at Sola Adebayo's shoes as first, then the bag, then the ride-hailing car pulling away behind them. Done delivery entrance is at the back, Marcus said. We are checking in, Sola replied. Marcus gave a dry laugh. Checking in where? Here. This is the Marula Grand. I can read. Marcus Ello's face tightened. No need to become stubborn. If you are looking for the conference casual workers, use the service gate. Ease stepped forward. He said, We have a reservation. Marcus looked at her aqua blouse, then back at Sola. Madam, I heard him. Some people hear that a hotel has free air conditioning, and suddenly they remember one imaginary booking. Sola studied the man Aloe's badge. Are you refusing us entry? I am advising you before embarrassment meets you inside. At that moment, the silver car Aloe's passenger raised a hand. Marcus turned immediately. Yes, sir. Welcome, sir. He moved away and held the glass door open for the other guests. Sola entered behind them. The lobby smelled of polished wood, citrus oil, and expensive perfume. On one side, florists arranged ruby-red roses around a wedding board. On the other, staff rolled equipment towards the ballroom for a pharmaceutical conference. Guests moved through the space in bright clothes and fitted suits. The reception desk curved across the far wall like a stage. Behind it stood Halima Williams. Her mustard gold uniform was neat. A teal scarf rested at her neck. She was 28 and only 3 months into her probation. But the first thing Sola noticed was not her uniform. It was her attention. She saw them before they reached the desk. Good afternoon, sir. Good afternoon, ma, she said. Welcome to the Marula Grand. Hope no problem with the traffic. Only the normal Lagos problem, Ease replied. Halima smiled. That one does not finish. Sola placed his printed reservation and identification on the desk. A room under Sola Adebayo. Halima typed the name. Her smile changed, not vanished. Changed. She looked at the screen, then at the printout, then back at the screen. One moment, sir. A man in a ruby-red suit jacket stepped out from a side office. He was tall, carefully groomed, and carried himself as though every surface belonged to him. Dare Balogun, front office manager. Sola knew the name from the audit report. Dare glanced at Halima. Why are you holding the queue? Sir, the guest has a confirmed booking, but the room is showing. Dare looked at Sola. The rest of Halima Aloe's sentence died under that look. What booking? Dare asked. Sola handed him the paper. Dare barely touched it. Where did you get this? From the platform where I paid. How much did you pay? 287,000 naira for 2 nights. Dare smiled. It was not a kind smile. My friend, do not come here and perform film. 287,000 naira did not pass through your hand. Ease Aloe's fingers tightened around her suitcase handle. Sola remained calm. The receipt is there. Receipts can be printed at a business center. Check the transaction reference. Dare pushed the paper back. The system has no room for you. Halima spoke carefully. Sir, the payment is valid. It entered at 8:43 this morning. The reservation status is still confirmed. Dare turned to her. Did I ask you? No, sir. But the guest what? Halima swallowed. Dare faced Sola again. We are fully booked. Then follow your overbooking policy. Sola said. Provide an equivalent room, or arrange another hotel and cover the transfer. For the first time, Dare looked properly at him. You know hotel policy now? I know what I paid for. Poor people are becoming very educated when they want to make trouble. The words were not shouted. That made them worse. A couple at the next desk glanced over. One of the receptionists lowered her face to hide a smile. Halima typed again. Sir, room 1107 was assigned to this reservation yesterday. Daro's eyes sharpened. Halima. Yes, sir. Close that file. But room 1107 was checked in at 2:51 p.m. under a walk-in guest. The lobby noise seemed to pull away. Sola heard the sentence clearly. Dare leaned closer to Halima. I said, close it. Sola placed both hands on the desk. You sold my room to somebody else. No, you do not have a room. I paid for room 1107. You paid a website. Go and sleep inside the website. A laugh escaped from somewhere behind the desk. Ease turned towards the sound. Nobody met her eyes. Sola looked at Dare. Please bring the general manager. The general manager does not attend to every person who enters from the road with paper. Then bring whoever is responsible for resolving a confirmed reservation. I am responsible. Good. Resolve it. Dare Illo's nostrils flared. He was accustomed to anger. Anger could be labeled aggression. He was accustomed to pleading. Pleading could be ignored. Sola gave him neither. That unsettled him. Dare reached for the printout again and studied the name. Sola Adebayo, he read. Do you know how many Adebayos are in Lagos? Because one rich man somewhere has that name, you think you can borrow it and enter a hotel? Ease stared at him. Her father Elo's face did not move. I have shown identification, Sola said. Dare looked at the card without lifting it. Anybody can arrange identification. Halima took a breath. Sir, the ID matches the payment profile. Dare slapped the desk with his palm. Will you keep quiet? Several guests turned. Halima Alo's shoulders pulled in, but she did not step away. The payment is valid, she said again, more softly. Dare opened the reservation file. Sola watched his fingers move. A menu appeared. Dare selected cancel. Halima leaned forward. Sir, he is standing here. You cannot mark him as no-show. I can correct a fraudulent booking. It is not fraudulent. Dare Alo's finger hovered over the final confirmation button. For 1 second, Halima looked at Sola. Then she pressed 2 keys beneath the desk. The system Alo's audit trail function activated silently. Dare confirmed the cancellation. There, he said. Now there is no booking. Sola watched the screen refresh. The room reservation disappeared from the front page, but not from the server. Halima knew that. Dare did not know she had protected the trail. Not yet. Sola straightened. I would like a written explanation. Dare laughed openly this time. A written explanation? For what? So you can take it to your village meeting. Ease moved closer to her father. You have insulted him enough. Dare looked her up and down. Young lady, do not allow your father Alo's poverty to make you rude. There are levels in life. Some people enter through the front door. Some people should know the back gate. Sola Alo's voice lowered. Leave my daughter out of this. Then take her out of my lobby. It is not your lobby. Daro's smile vanished. What did you say? Sola held his gaze. I said it is not your lobby. The first drop of rain struck the glass outside. Then another. Within seconds, the sky broke over Victoria Island. Water hammered the entrance canopy. Guests crowded towards the doors. A gust of wind pushed rain across the driveway. Dare pointed towards the exit. Security. Marcus appeared almost immediately, as though he had been waiting. Dare Illo's voice rose for the whole lobby to hear. Get this roadside beggar and his daughter out of my hotel! Before Sola could, Marcus seized the canvas bag. The old strap snapped. Clothes spilled across the marble. The food container rolled beneath a chair. Toiletries scattered. The framed photograph dropped face down, bounced once, and landed beside Ease Alo's shoe. The glass shattered. Ease fell to her knees. Mummy. It was only one word, but it cut deeper than shouting. She lifted the photograph with both hands. A white crack ran from the corner of the frame across her mother, Alo's smiling face. Behind the reception desk, somebody laughed. Another person covered a mouth too late. Dare pointed at Sola Alo's faded orange polo. A man who cannot afford decent clothes wants to sleep in a 5-star hotel. Sir, even the air here is above your level. Halima rushed from behind the desk. Oga, stop! His room was paid for this morning. I checked it myself. Dare turned. Then pack your things too. The lobby froze. Sola looked at the crack across his wife Al's face. He did not shout. He did not beg. He only asked, "Is this how you treat every guest who looks too poor to fight back?" Dare stepped close enough for Sola to smell mint on his breath. "No," he said. "Only the ones who refuse to know their level." Halima closed her eyes for half a second. Sola looked beyond Dare at the polished lobby. The chandeliers, the gold lettering, the smiling photographs on the wall, promising exceptional care. Then he looked at the people who had laughed. Something inside him became very still. This was no longer an audit of missing revenue. It was an audit of character. Marcus bent to gather the scattered clothes, not to help but to throw them back into the torn bag. "Carry your property," he said, "before I carry all of you." Eve stood slowly with the broken frame pressed against her chest. Her eyes were wet, her voice was not. "Do not touch my father again." Marcus gave her a hard look. "Madam, this is not your father Alo's compound." "No," Eve said. "It is a place that claims to serve people." Dare clapped once, sharply. "Enough of this village debate. Move them." Halima stepped between Marcus and the bag. "Sir, the rain is heavy. At least allow them to wait until transport comes." Dare stared at her as though she had placed dirt on the desk. "Did you not hear me?" "I heard you, sir." "So, why is your mouth still moving?" "Because they are guests." A small sound moved through the lobby. Not laughter this time. Surprise. Halima felt every eye on her. Her heartbeat knocked against her ribs. She thought of the probation letter inside her locker. She thought of her mother Alo's medicine. She thought of the rent due in 12 days. Then she looked at the photograph in Izo's hands. Some things cost money. Some things cost more. Dare walked towards her. "You are still on probation," he said quietly. 3 months and 6 days. I can end your employment before you remove that scarf tonight." Halima Alo's fingers trembled. She held them together. "The payment was valid, sir." Dare Alo's face hardened. "You will report to the laundry floor immediately. Submit your access card before you go." "Sir, you heard me. Since you enjoy carrying poor people on your head, go and carry bedsheets." Halima Alo's mouth opened. Nothing came out. Dare extended his hand. "Card." Slowly, she removed the access card clipped to her waist. He snatched it. "Now disappear from my front desk." Halima looked at Sola. Shame burned across her face, though she had done nothing shameful. "I am sorry, sir," she whispered. Sola answered in the same quiet tone. "You have nothing to apologize for." Dare heard him. "Please stop encouraging indiscipline. You have caused enough trouble." Sola bent and collected the last item from the floor, a toothbrush still inside its plastic case. He placed it in the torn bag. Then he turned to Marcus. "I will leave when I have received a written explanation and confirmation that my payment will be refunded." Marcus laughed. "You are not in a position to give conditions. I am not asking for favor. See this man." Marcus looked around as if inviting the lobby to enjoy the performance. "Your shirt is tired. Your bag has surrendered. Rain is waiting for you outside. Yet you are speaking grammar." A few guests shifted uncomfortably. One man glanced at Dare, then away. Nobody intervened. Dare folded his arms. "Refund will come from the platform if they decide you deserve it. As for a written explanation, write it to yourself." Sola nodded once. That nod irritated Dare more than any insult could have done. "Marcus, remove them." Marcus reached for Sola Alo's elbow. Sola stepped back. "Do not touch me." There was no fear in the sentence. Marcus stopped. For a second, both men measured each other. Then a crash of thunder shook the glass doors. The lights flickered once. Guests near the entrance murmured. Rainwater began pushing beneath one of the outer doors because the wind had changed direction. The duty staff rushed for warning signs and floor cloths. Dare looked towards the ceiling. That brief distraction was enough. Halima picked up the food container from beneath the chair and moved close to Ease. "Come," she whispered. "There is a side waiting area near the service corridor. You can sit there until this rain reduces." Ease looked at her father. Sola had seen the exchange. He gave the smallest nod. Halima led them behind a decorative screen and through a narrow passage beside the business center. It was not hidden. It was simply less visible from the main desk. At the end stood a row of 6 plastic chairs, a water dispenser, and a notice board covered with staff memos. "This area is sometimes used when guests are waiting for transport," Halima explained. "You are not entering any restricted place." She said the last sentence loudly enough for a nearby camera to record it. Sola noticed. So did Ease. Halima brought 2 clean towels and paper cups of water. She placed them on the table. "I cannot give you a room without system access," she said, "and I cannot promise what they will do next. But you should not stand in the rain." Ease looked at the name badge, still pinned to Halima Alo's chest. "Thank you, Halima." The young woman gave a tired smile. "I am only doing what the hotel says we should do." "Does the hotel usually punish people for doing it?" Ease asked. Halima Alo's smile disappeared. Sola sat on one of the plastic chairs. He examined the broken frame. The photograph itself was not torn, only marked by a thin line of dust from the shattered glass. He removed the remaining pieces carefully. His wife smiled up at him from a day long gone. She was wearing a yellow dress. The picture had been taken outside their first proper restaurant in Ibadan, 2 years before Crestline existed. They had eaten pepper soup at a plastic table because the dining room was too hot. Ease sat beside him. "You should stop this now," she said. Halima looked between them. "Stop what?" Sola answered before Ease could. "Arguing." Ease stared at him. He held her gaze. "Not here, not yet." Halima did not believe the answer, but she was too disciplined to press. "I have to report downstairs," she said. "Please keep your phones with you. If anybody asks, tell them you are waiting for your transport." "Dare," Alo's voice came from the corridor. "Halima." She flinched. "I am coming, sir." Before she left, Sola said, "One question." She stopped. "When he cancelled my reservation, did the system retain the original record?" Halima looked towards the corridor. Then she spoke carefully. "The audit history normally keeps every change, unless somebody with administrator access removes it from the local view." "The local view?" "The central server should still have it." Dare called again. Halima hurried away. Ease waited until her footsteps disappeared. "Daddy." "I know." "No, I do not think you know. She may lose her job because she helped us." "She will not. She does not know that." Sola looked down at the photograph. That was the point Ease had made in the office. Power could guarantee his own safety. It could not erase another person Alo's fear while he remained silent. He took out his phone. At 4:57 p.m., he sent a message to Crestline Alo's compliance lawyer. "Freeze and mirror all Marula Grand reservation logs from 12 noon today. Preserve user access history. Room 1107 transactions. CCTV metadata, payment gateway entries, and staff scheduling edits. Do not contact hotel management. Bring the forensic audit team to tomorrow's 9 a.m. forum. Inform the board representative. I am on site." He added a second message. "There may be evidence of forged cancellation consent and retaliatory action against a probationary employee. No intervention yet unless physical safety is threatened." The reply came 43 seconds later. "Understood. Server mirror beginning now." Sola locked the phone. Ease watched him. "You added the safety condition?" "Yes. And Halima? Her employment record will be frozen. Nobody can terminate her tonight without central approval." Ease exhaled. "That helps." "It does not excuse what she is experiencing." He looked at his daughter. You were right. She raised one eyebrow. Please say it again. I may never hear it twice. Sola almost smiled. Then footsteps approached. Marcus appeared at the end of the passage. His expression carried triumph. So this is where you are hiding. We are waiting for transport, Sola said. You are not supposed to be here. The staff member said, this is an approved waiting area. Marcus pointed at the camera. Do not teach me my work. Sola followed his finger. The red light on the camera was blinking. Good. Marcus noticed the phone in Sola Adebayo's hand. Were you recording? No. Give me the phone. No. Marcus stepped closer. Hotel privacy policy does not allow unauthorized recording. I said I was not recording. Then give me the phone so I can check. You have no authority to search my device. Marcus Adebayo's jaw moved. Ease rose. You also have no authority to seize a guest Adebayo's phone. He is not a guest. He paid. He was removed. After your manager cancelled a valid reservation. Marcus looked at her sharply. Young lady, you talk too much. And you threaten people too easily. Sola stood between them. Speak to me. Marcus, a hand rested near the radio on his belt. Both of you will follow me to the security office. On what basis? Suspicious behavior. Waiting on a chair is suspicious. For people who have been asked to leave, yes. Sola glanced at the rain pounding the windows beyond the passage. We will leave when our car arrives. You will leave now. Marcus reached for the torn bag. A voice came from behind him. Supervisor, the front entrance is flooding. A junior security officer stood there, breathless. Marcus turned with irritation, then put more cloth. The water has reached the first mat. Do I look like a cleaner? Call housekeeping. The junior officer hesitated. Housekeeping said, they are short-staffed. Then use your sense. Marcus faced Sola again. You have 5 minutes. He walked away. Ease looked after him. That man enjoys uniform too much. Sola sat down again. Uniform does not create cruelty. No. It gives cruelty a pocket for a name badge. Sola looked at her. That sounds like your mother. It is something she would say. The rain continued. 5 minutes became 10. No car could reach the hotel entrance because traffic had stopped along the flooded approach road. The ride-hailing app cancelled twice. At 5:21 p.m., a housekeeping worker pushed a trolley past the waiting area. She looked exhausted. 3 towels hung over one shoulder. Her shoes were wet. A supervisor, Adebayo's voice shouted from downstairs. You people should move faster! Wedding guests are waiting! The worker did not answer. Her hands were red from chemical soap. As she passed, a folded paislip slid from the top of her trolley and fell near Sola Adebayo's foot. He picked it up without reading the details and called after her. Madam, your paper? She returned quickly. Thank you, sir. A red deduction line was visible before she folded it. Brocken checked. 18,500. Sola glanced at the trolley. They deducted that from your salary. The woman Adebayo's face closed. I am managing, sir. That was not my question. She looked down the corridor, afraid. A guest broke a lamp. The room attendant was blamed because nobody wanted to argue with the guest. How much do you earn? She stepped back. Please, sir. I do not want problem. I understand. She hurried away. Ease had heard everything. Is that legal? She asked. Not without a proper process and proof of responsibility. Does your company policy allow it? No. Another silence grew between them. The hotel looked different from the service corridor. In the lobby, luxury was soft music and cold air. Behind the screen, luxury was carried on tired backs. At 5:38 p.m., Halima returned. Her mustard jacket was gone. She wore a plain grey laundry apron over her blouse. A bundle of folded pillowcases rested in her arms. I brought your food container, she said. Though it was already beside them, she had used the excuse to return. Are you all right? Ease asked. Halima gave a quick nod that convinced nobody. They said, I should count linen until my shift ends. What time is that? 11. You started at 2, Ease said. Yes. Do they pay overtime? Halima looked towards the camera. Sometimes. Sola understood the answer. Halima, he said, has this happened before? Selling a prepaid room to somebody else? Her arms tightened around the pillowcases. I should not discuss guest records. I am asking about my own reservation. She hesitated. There have been complaints. How many? I do not know. Do you believe the cancellation was proper? No. The word came out before fear could stop it. Halima closed her eyes. Then she continued. Many discounted bookings arrive late. Some managers assume those guests will not complain properly. The rooms are released to walk-ins. If the original guest comes, they say the platform failed. And the walk-in payment, sometimes cash, entered into the system? I do not have access to the final reconciliation. Has anybody reported it? Ease asked. Halima laughed once. There was no humor in it. 2 people reported missing cash last year. One was accused of stealing minibar money. The other was told his attitude was damaging team spirit. Both of them left. So everybody keeps quiet, Ease said. Everybody wants to eat. The sentence settled heavily. Halima adjusted the linen in her arms. My mother Aloe's medicine is 34,000 naira every month. My brother is learning refrigeration work. I send money home. If this job goes, Courage will not pay those bills. Sola nodded slowly. You are right. She looked at him, surprised. Courage should not require a person to become hungry before the truth can be heard, he said. Halima studied his face. For the first time, she seemed to wonder who he was beyond his clothes. Before she could ask, voices came from the lobby. A receptionist hurried past, carrying a sealed envelope. She did not notice the 3 of them behind the decorative screen. At the far end of the corridor, Dare stepped from his office. The receptionist handed him the envelope. He opened it with his thumb. Inside were thick bundles of naira notes. Dare counted quickly, shielding the money with his body. Marcus approached from the opposite direction. How much? He asked. 750, Dare replied. For 1107. And the extra late checkout. Marcus whistled. That poor man paid 287. Dare smiled. That is why poor people should not enter business they do not understand. Halima stopped breathing. Ease Aloe's hand moved towards her pocket. Sola touched her wrist lightly. Not yet. The men walked into Dare Aloe's office and shut the door. Halima Aloe's face had gone pale. You heard them, she whispered. Yes, Sola said. They sold your room for 750,000 naira. Yes. What will you do? Sola looked at the closed office door. The right thing. Halima almost laughed from frustration. Sir, with respect, everybody says that until the wrong thing is wearing a suit. Sola met her eyes. Then watch what happens when morning comes. A strange chill moved through her, not because of the words, because of the certainty behind them. At 6:03 p.m., Dare Aloe's office door opened. He came out carrying a single sheet of paper. Halima, he called. She straightened. Yes, sir. Bring those people. Sola and Ease followed her to the front desk. The rain had softened, but had not stopped. The lobby was busier now. Wedding guests, in bright clothes, crowded around flower stands. Conference delegates collected badges. Porters moved luggage in every direction. Dare placed the paper before Sola. It was titled Voluntary Cancellation and Release. This will resolve your issue, Dare said. Sola read it. The form stated that he had requested cancellation at 3:12 p.m. because he could no longer afford the balance. It also stated that no refund was due because the cancellation fell within the penalty period. Sola looked up. I did not request this. Sign and leave. No, you want your refund or not? This form says no refund is due. Dare leaned forward. That is the platform Aloe's policy. No, it is a lie. Dare tapped the signature line. Sign. Sola pushed the paper back. I will not sign a false statement. Dare Aloe's voice dropped. My friend, let me help you. If this matter becomes a fraud case, police will ask where you got the booking document. They will ask why the payment name resembles the owner of the company. They may not be patient with you. Is stared at him. Are you threatening to report my father for using his own name? Dare ignored her. You can leave quietly, he told Sola, or you can make noise and sleep somewhere that has no air conditioning at all. Sola folded the form in half. Then in half again. He placed it on the desk. No, Dare Illo's face changed. For one moment, the polished manager disappeared. Something raw came through. Marcus. The security supervisor came closer. Dare spoke without looking away from Sola. Take copies of their identification. Prepare an incident report. Suspicion of fraudulent booking and disturbance of business. Halima whispered. Sir, there was no disturbance. Dare turned towards her very slowly. You are still speaking? She looked down. Go back to laundry. Then Dare reached for Sola Aloe's identification card and walked into his office. Sola watched the door close. At 6:17 p.m., inside that office, Dare scanned the identification card. He opened the cancelled reservation, uploaded the scan, and selected a stored digital signature image from an old registration document. He pasted the signature onto the voluntary cancellation form. Then he saved the file under Halima Aloe's user account. He believed the account was still open from her earlier shift. He did not know that the central server was now recording every movement. He did not know that someone in Crestline House was watching the mirror populate in real time. And he did not know that the trap he was setting for Halima had already begun to close around him. Halima did not return to the laundry floor immediately. She stood inside the staff restroom and stared at herself in the mirror. Her teal scarf had shifted. A loose thread hung from the sleeve of her blouse. Her eyes looked larger than usual, not because she was surprised, but because fear had pulled everything else away from her face. 3 months and 6 days. That was how long she had worked at the Marula Grand. She had arrived with 2 pairs of black shoes, 4 pressed blouses, and a certificate she kept inside a plastic folder. She had believed that if she worked hard, spoke politely and learned quickly, the hotel would become a door into a better life. Now the same door was closing on her fingers. She washed her hands. Then she went to the staff terminal on the laundry floor. Her access card had been taken, but her password still worked. She opened the shift log. The screen took longer than usual to load. When it finally appeared, she saw a transaction entered at 6:17 p. H. Williams. Voluntary cancellation. Gect, Sola Adebayo. Halima Aloe's stomach dropped. She had been folding pillowcases at 6:17. She had not uploaded any document. She clicked the file. A signature appeared at the bottom. The same guest who had refused to sign now seemed to have signed. No, she whispered. A laundry worker beside her looked over. Hope no problem. Halima closed the file quickly. No problem. But there was a problem. A very big one. She checked the terminal login history. Her account had been accessed from front office station 3. That terminal sat inside Dare Aloe's office. Her hands went cold. If the matter reached senior management, the records would show her name. The guest had already been labeled fraudulent. Dare could say she created the booking, falsified the cancellation, and tried to hide the missing money. It was neat. Too neat. She looked towards the laundry door. Then she opened the emergency procedures folder on the shelf beside the terminal. Inside were printed instructions for evacuation, fire reporting and incident preservation. At the back was a small envelope holding duplicate paper rolls for the payment machine. Halima remembered something. The front desk card terminal had jammed that morning. The payment gateway printed a backup receipt before the system refreshed. She had placed the duplicate inside the manual reconciliation box. If it was still there, it would show the exact payment time and approval code. She logged out. At 6:31 p.m., she took the service stairs back towards the lobby. Halfway down, she smelled something faint, hot plastic. She stopped on the landing between the second floor and the ballroom level. The smell disappeared beneath detergent, food, and damp carpet. Halima continued. At the front desk, another receptionist was checking in a group of conference delegates. Dare was speaking to a wedding organizer. Marcus stood near the revolving door, watching the driveway. Halima moved behind the counter as though she had been sent to collect a form. She opened the reconciliation cabinet. The paper box was there. Inside lay 3 duplicate receipts. The second one carried Sola Adebayo's name. Payment, time, 08-43-17. Amount, 287,000. Off code, 641983. Halima folded the receipt into the smallest square she could manage, looking for something. Dare Alo's voice came from behind her. She turned. He stood less than 1 meter away. My locker key, sir. In the payment cabinet? I thought I left it near the manual forms. Dare studied her. Halima forced herself not to touch the pocket where the receipt was hidden. Did you find it? He asked. No, sir. Then return to where I sent you. Yes, sir. As she walked away, Dare watched every step. Suspicion moved across his face. He waited until she entered the corridor. Then he opened the reconciliation box. 2 receipts remained. He counted them. His eyes narrowed. Marcus, he called. The security supervisor approached. Dare kept his voice low. Search that girl, Alo's locker. For what? A receipt? Marcus looked towards the corridor. And if she is carrying it, then find a reason to take her bag. Marcus smiled without warmth. No problem. Sola and Ease had moved from the plastic chairs to a small staff canteen because the corridor floor was being cleaned. Halima had shown them the room before returning to the front desk. It held 8 tables, a microwave, a refrigerator, and a metal sink. The fluorescent light buzzed overhead. On the wall, a printed notice read, Staff meals are a privilege, not a right. Another notice warned that taking bottled water from guest areas would lead to salary deduction. Ease photographed both. This language tells you everything, she said. Sola read the first notice again. Food provided during a scheduled shift is part of the employment package. Then, why call it a privilege? To make people grateful for what they have already earned. Ease sat opposite him. The broken photograph lay between them, wrapped in one of the towels. Was it like this when you started? She asked. What? Your first business? Did you ever treat workers badly because you were desperate for profit? Sola did not answer immediately. Outside the canteen, trolley wheels rattled over the tiles. When we opened the second guest house, he said, cash was tight. I delayed salaries by 9 days. Ease looked surprised. You never told me that. I was ashamed. What happened? One cook stopped coming. I called him irresponsible. Later, I learnt his landlord had thrown his belongings outside because he could not pay rent. What did you do? I paid the salary and helped with the rent. That did not undo it. No. Sola looked at the notice again. I told myself the delay was temporary. I told myself everybody should understand business pressure. But pressure does not become lighter because the person carrying it earns less than you. Ease Alo's expression softened. Did Mummy know? She was the one who found his belongings outside. Of course. She told me something that day. What? Sola Adebayo's mouth tightened with the memory. She said, "A company does not reveal its values when money is plenty. It reveals them when money is short, and somebody weaker must bear the pain." Ease looked at the photograph. She would hate this place. Yes, and she would blame you too. Yes. He did not avoid the answer. That mattered. At 6:46 p.m., Halima entered the canteen and closed the door behind her. She placed the folded receipt on the table. "Keep this," she said. Sola opened it. The approval code matched the confirmation email. "Where did you find it?" "Manual reconciliation box." "Why are you giving it to me?" "Because my account was used to upload a false cancellation form at 6:17. Ease sat forward. "Used by whom?" "The terminal was inside Mr. Dare Elo's office." "Can you prove that?" Sola asked. "The local login history showed the workstation. But if he has administrator access, he may delete it. The central server will preserve it." Halima looked at him sharply. "How do you know?" Sola folded the receipt. "I know how hotel systems work." "That is not what I asked." "No." The room fell quiet. Halima looked from Sola to Ease. "You people are not what you appear to be." Ease glanced at her father. Sola answered carefully, "We are exactly what we appear to be. A father and daughter who paid for a room. That one is true, but it is not complete. Not every truth must arrive at the same time." Halima shook her head. "That sounds like something a rich person would say." Ease almost smiled despite the tension. Halima continued, "I do not need to know your business. But Mr. Dare is preparing something. If the records show my name, he will accuse me." "He will not succeed," Sola said. "How can you promise that?" "Because I have already preserved the record." Hasta stared at him. The canteen door opened. Marcus stood there. Nobody had heard him approach. "What record?" he asked. Halima moved quickly, blocking his view of the table. "Sir, I was asking them to leave." Marcus entered and shut the door. "You were sent to laundry." "Yes, sir." "So why are you here?" "I came to drink water." Marcus looked at the untouched dispenser. "With guests?" "They are waiting for transport." Marcus Allo's gaze dropped to Halima Azo's pocket, then moved to Sola Allo's hand. "What are you holding?" "A receipt," Sola said. "Give it to me." "No." Marcus laughed softly. "You like that word? It is useful when somebody exceeds his authority." Marcus stepped closer. "I am the security supervisor of this hotel, and I am a paying customer. You have no active booking. That was changed after I arrived." Marcus Allo's face tightened. Ease stood. Her phone was inside her pocket, recording audio. Marcus pointed at her. "Bring your phone." "No. All devices must be checked." "We have received a complaint that you are recording guests." "Which guest complained?" "That information is private. So private that it does not exist." Marcus moved towards her. Sola stepped between them. "Do not touch her." Marcus Allo's shoulders squared. He was heavier than Sola, but size did not give him the advantage he expected. Sola did not retreat. For several seconds neither man moved. Then Sola said, "If you believe an offense has occurred, call the police. You will not search us, seize our property, or detain us without lawful basis." Marcus gave a small smile. "Big words, simple rights." Marcus looked at Halima. "Open your locker." "My locker?" "You are suspected of removing hotel documents." Halima Allo's throat moved. "What document?" "Open it." "My personal belongings are inside." "Then you have nothing to fear." That sentence is normally used by people who want to ignore procedure, Cez said. Marcus turned on her. "Keep quiet." "No." His hand moved towards her arm. Sola caught his wrist, not violently. Firmly, the room went still. Sola Allo's voice was low. "You will not touch my daughter." Marcus looked at the hand around his wrist, then at Sola Allo's face. Something uncertain passed through his eyes. This man did not hold himself like a beggar. Marcus pulled free. "You have made a mistake," he said. Sola released him, then "Document it." Marcus opened the door. "None of you should leave this area. You cannot detain us," Sola said. Marcus looked back. "I can prevent trespassers from moving around a private property. We will wait for the police if you call them." Marcus did not reply. He locked the canteen door from outside. The click was quiet. Its meaning was not. Ease ran to the door and tried the handle. "He locked us in." Halima Alo's face drained of color. "God forbid. This man wants to create a bigger problem." Sola took out his phone and called the compliance lawyer. The call connected immediately. "We have been locked inside the staff canteen by the hotel security supervisor," Sola said. "Record the time as 6:54 p.m. Notify local police that there is an unlawful restraint complaint, but ask them to approach without public disruption. We may leave through the fire exit if necessary." Halima stared at him. He ended the call. "Who did you call?" "The person responsible for protecting the company from itself." Halima Alo's suspicion deepened. Before she could ask again, a faint buzzing sound came from beyond the wall. Then the lights flickered. Once, twice. The microwave display went blank and returned. Halima lifted her head. That smell. Sola smelled it too. Hot plastic. Stronger now. "Where is the electrical panel?" he asked. "Service corridor beside the ballroom store." "How far?" "Maybe 40 meters. "Is this room on the same circuit?" "I do not know." Sola moved to the door and struck it with the flat of his palm. "Open this door." Nobody answered. He struck again. "Marcus!" The buzzing intensified. Ease pointed towards the ceiling vent. "Daddy." A thin grey line had appeared near the edge. Smoke. Not much. Enough. Sola pulled the fire exit diagram from the wall. The canteen had a second door behind the refrigerator, partly hidden by stacked cartons. He moved the cartons aside. The door opened into a narrow service passage. It was not locked. "Come," he said. They stepped into the passage. The smell hit them immediately. Burning insulation. Halima coughed. At the far end, a strip of smoke curled from beneath the door of a linen storage room. Sola moved quickly, but did not run. "Do not open that door," he said. "Where is the manual alarm point?" Halima pointed to a red box beside the stairs. She hurried towards it. Dare appeared from the ballroom entrance. "What are you doing?" he shouted. "There is smoke in the linen store," Halima said. Dare looked towards the door. The smoke was visible now. His first expression was fear. His second was calculation. Inside the ballroom, music was playing. More than 400 guests were seated beneath decorative lights. The wedding program had reached the couple-close entrance. A videographer stood ready. The organizers had paid millions. Dare looked at the alarm point. "Do not touch it." Halima froze. "Sir, it may be a small wire fault. We will handle it." Sola stepped forward. "Evacuate the area." Dare glared at him. "Who asked you?" "Smoke is entering a linen store. That room contains material that can burn quickly." Dare pointed towards the canteen. "How did you get out?" "You locked us inside. I told security to keep you there. That is not your biggest problem now." Dare turned to Halima. "Call maintenance." "The maintenance technician left at 6, she said. "Then call him back." "The smoke is increasing." I said, "Call him." Sola looked through the narrow glass panel in the store door. A faint orange glow flickered low behind a stack of folded cloth. "Pull the alarm," he said. Dare moved between Halima and the red box. "If you disrupt this wedding over a burning socket, I will deduct every refund from your salary." Halima stared at him. "My salary cannot pay for one table in that ballroom." "Then use your sense." The glow brightened. A soft popping sound came from inside the room. Sola faced Dare. "How many people are in that ballroom?" "Mind your business." "How many?" Dare's voice rose. This is my hotel. No, Sola said. It is a building full of people. Move them. Dare stepped close. You brought trouble here. Since you entered, one problem after another. Maybe you entered that store. Maybe you caused this. Ease took out her phone openly now. I am recording this, she said. There is visible smoke. He is refusing to evacuate. Dare lunged for the phone. Sola blocked him. Halima looked at the red alarm box. She thought of her probation. She thought of her mother, Aloe's medicine. She thought of 400 people under decorative fabric and bright lights. Then she lifted the protective cover. Dare saw her. Halima, if you touch that alarm, you are finished. Her hand trembled. She pulled it. The alarm exploded through the hotel. A sharp, relentless bell. For one frozen second, everybody stopped. Then the building changed. Music died inside the ballroom. Chairs scraped. Guests shouted. Staff looked at one another, waiting for instructions that did not come. Dare grabbed at Halima Aloe's arm. You stupid girl. Sola pulled his hand away from her. Do not touch her. The smoke pushed harder beneath the linen store door. A child Elo's cry rose from inside the ballroom, then was swallowed by adult voices. Sola turned towards the entrance. Halima, call the fire service. Give them the exact address and say second-level service corridor beside the ballroom. Ease, stay with her. What about you? Ease asked. I am helping people out. Dare laughed in disbelief. Who made you commander? Sola looked at him. Your failure. Then he entered the ballroom. The room was beautiful and dangerous. Ruby drapes hung from the ceiling. Decorative lights ran along temporary metal frames. More than 400 guests stood in confusion between round tables. Some were reaching for bags. Others were filming. 2 elderly guests remained seated because the crowd blocked their path. A hotel employee held a microphone but said nothing useful. Sola climbed onto the edge of the stage. Please listen, he shouted. Few people heard him over the alarm. He took the microphone. Do not use the lifts. Leave bags behind. Use both marked exits. Walk. Do not run. Staff, open the side doors now. His voice carried. The crowd began to move. A man in ceremonial clothing protested. Is this necessary? We have not finished the entrance. Yes, Sola said. Your program can continue later. Your life cannot. The man stared at him, then obeyed. Sola pointed 2 staff members towards the elderly guests. He told another to clear chairs away from the side exit. He sent a kitchen worker to shut the nearest gas supply. He checked the evacuation map and directed guests away from the smoky corridor. He did not know every part of the building. He knew enough. The guest house in Ibadan returned to him in pieces. The fire extinguisher his father had insisted on buying when money was short. The generator fault that blackened a wall. His wife standing in the courtyard at midnight, counting guests twice. People before property, always. At the service corridor, Halima spoke into her phone. Yes, the Marula Grand, Victoria Island. Smoke from the linen store beside the ballroom. The alarm is active. Guests are evacuating. No confirmed injury yet. Ease stood beside her, holding the broken photograph inside the towel with one hand and recording with the other. Dare paced angrily. You have ruined this hotel, he told Halima. Do you know the refund claim from this wedding alone? Halima ended the call. Fire service is on the way. I asked if you know what you have done. Yes, she said. Her voice no longer shook. I prevented you from gambling with people's lives. Dare stared at her. The insult he wanted did not come quickly enough. A louder crack sounded inside the linen room. Smoke filled the upper part of the corridor. Move back! Sola shouted as he returned from the ballroom. He pulled the fire door closed between the corridor and the public area. A kitchen worker arrived with an extinguisher. But Sola stopped him from opening the storage door. Do not feed it air. Wait for trained responders. Marcus came running from the lobby. What is happening? Dare rounded on him. Where were you? Front entrance. You allowed these people to leave the canteen. There was another door. Dare looked as though he might strike him. Instead, he pointed at Sola. This man entered the service area. He may have started the fire. Ease stared at him. Are you mad? Dare raised his voice. He was trespassing after being removed. Halima gave him access. Now there is a fire. That is a lie, Halima said. Marcus looked from Dare to Sola. Then, understanding passed between the two managers. It happened fast. Dare needed a cause that was not the overloaded wiring. Marcus needed to protect the inspection records, and Halima Alo's account had already been prepared. Marcus grabbed Sola Alo's arm. You are coming with me. Sola pulled free. The building is still being evacuated. Security will handle it. Security locked people inside a canteen while smoke entered the corridor. Marcus Alo's face darkened. Sirens sounded outside. The fire service had arrived. Sola looked at Halima. Stay with the responders. Tell them where the panel is and what you smelled. Dare shouted. She will not speak to anybody without management approval. A fire officer entered the corridor wearing breathing equipment. Halima stepped forward. The smoke began near the service panel. The linen room is closed. There may be an electrical overload from the ballroom decoration line. Dare tried to interrupt. The officer raised one hand. Everybody moved back. Who activated the alarm? I did, Halima said. Good, one word. Good. Halima looked at Dare. His face had become stone. Two responders entered with equipment. Others moved through the building, checking exits and directing guests away from the entrance. The fire was contained within 17 minutes. It had begun in an overloaded distribution unit beside the linen store. Heat had spread to packaging and 2 bundles of towels. Because the fire door remained closed and the alarm was raised early, the flames did not reach the ballroom. No one died. 3 guests were treated for mild smoke exposure. 1 staff member twisted an ankle during the evacuation. The wedding cake remained untouched in the ballroom, though nobody cared about it for a while. It could have been much worse. Dare knew that. He also knew gratitude would not save him if the inspection file was opened. At 7:42 p.m., while guests gathered beneath the entrance canopy and fire officers checked the electrical room, Dare called Marcus into his office. He shut the door. We need one report, he said. Marcus lowered his voice. The responders have already seen the panel. They saw a damaged panel. They did not see who interfered with it. You want to blame that man. He entered a restricted area after being denied a room. Halima helped him. Then the alarm was activated. Marcus frowned. The camera may show otherwise. Camera times can be corrected. And the inspection certificate? We say the contractor failed to disclose the decoration load. Marcus looked towards the wall, as though he could see the service corridor through it. What about the guest list? Do not worry about guests. By tomorrow morning, everybody will be thanking us for controlling the situation. Marcus did not look convinced. Dare stepped closer. If this becomes an electrical compliance issue, they will check the records you signed. Marcus Alo's jaw tightened. Dare continued. If it becomes sabotage by an angry trespasser, we are the people who protected the hotel. The choice was ugly. Marcus had already made worse ones. He nodded. What do you need? Prepare an incident statement. Say you found him near the service panel. Say Halima used her access to admit him. We will attach the cancellation document and the fraud complaint. And the girl, the daughter, yes. Take her phone. She will resist. Then say she recorded guests during an emergency and breached privacy. Marcus exhaled slowly. Dare opened the cash envelope and removed a bundle. He placed it on the desk. Marcus looked at the money, then at Dare. "Tomorrow," Dare said. "This problem will end." Outside the office, Halima stood behind the partly open service door. She had heard enough. Not everything. Enough. She stepped back before they came out. Her heart beat so loudly she feared the corridor camera might record it. She hurried to find Sola, but Marcus was already moving towards him. Marcus found Sola near the temporary first aid station in the lobby. The hotel no longer looked like a palace. Wet footprints covered the marble. Guests sat on luggage and banquet chairs. A wedding guest held an oxygen mask over her face while a responder checked her pulse. Staff moved without coordination, answering the same questions with different stories. Sola was helping an elderly man lower himself into a chair when Marcus caught his upper arm. "Oh, you will come with me now." Sola looked at the hand. "Remove it." Marcus tightened his grip. "You are under internal investigation." "Internal investigation by whom?" "Hotel security. You are not the police." Dare arrived behind him. "Police are on the way. We have evidence that you entered a restricted service area before the fire." Sola turned to him. "I was locked inside your staff canteen. You were confined because you refused to leave private property. You cannot confine a person because rain stopped him from finding transport." Dare glanced at nearby guests. He lowered his voice. "You should have taken the easy road." "I did. It led here." Marcus pulled Sola towards the security corridor. Ease rushed across the lobby. "Leave him." Dare blocked her. "Your father is being questioned." "By criminals?" Dare. Alo's expression sharpened. "Mind your language. You sold his room twice. You forged his signature. You refused to evacuate people when smoke was visible." A few guests turned towards them. Dare smiled tightly. "This is the behavior I expected. Like father, like daughter. One comes with fake documents. The other records private guests and creates panic." Ease raised her phone. "The recording shows exactly who created panic." Marcus released Sola and moved towards her. "Give me that device." Ease stepped back. "No. This is evidence." "Yes. Evidence against you." Marcus reached for it. Ease moved around a chair. Several guests began watching openly now. Sola Alo's voice cut through the lobby. "Ease." She stopped. He looked at her phone, then at her face. "Has it been sent?" She understood. "Yes." "At what time?" 7:38. Audio, photographs, and the cancellation form. Dare's eyes changed. "Sent where?" Ease looked straight at him. "Somewhere you cannot delete it." Silence. Then Marcus snatched the phone from her hand. Ease did not fight him. She only said, "You are late." Dare took the device and tried to unlock it. "Password." "No." "Give me the password." "No." Marcus stepped closer. Sola moved between them again. "Touch her, and this matter changes immediately." Dare laughed. "What will you do? Call your village chief?" Sola looked at him for a long moment. Then he said, "Tomorrow morning, you will answer that question yourself." Dare felt a small movement in his stomach. He dismissed it. Men dressed like Sola did not make threats that mattered. That was what he had always believed. At 8:06 p.m., 2 police officers entered the lobby. They had been informed of an alleged unlawful restraint and a disturbance. A fire service representative was still on site. Dare hurried to meet them before Sola could speak. He presented himself as the responsible manager. He described a fraudulent guest. He described suspicious movement near the electrical room. He described Halima as an unstable probationary employee who had ignored instructions and triggered unnecessary panic. His story was clean. Too clean. When the officers spoke to Sola, he gave his account without raising his voice. He showed the payment confirmation on his email. He explained that his phone and his daughter, Alo's phone, had been seized. He stated that they had been locked in a room and had left through an unlocked fire exit passage after smelling smoke. The officer asked whether he wanted to make a formal complaint immediately. "Yes," Sola said. "But I also want all hotel records preserved before anybody is removed from the premises," Dare interrupted. "You cannot direct police procedure." Sola ignored him. The officers instructed Marcus to return both phones. They also warned that Sola and Ys could not be detained without lawful grounds. Dare produced the forged cancellation form. "See," he said. He signed cancellation and refused to leave. Sola studied the form. The signature resembled his, not perfectly. Enough to deceive a hurried person. "I did not sign this." Dare spread his hands. "Everybody says that when fraud fails." The officer looked at Halima. "Who uploaded this document?" Dare answered before she could, her account. Halima felt the floor tilt beneath her. The officer turned to her. "Did you upload it?" "No." "Was your password shared?" "No." Dare sighed dramatically. "This is the problem." She became emotionally involved with the guest. Halima looked at him. The fear inside her changed shape. It did not disappear, it hardened. "At 6:17, I was in the laundry room," she said. The login history showed the document came from front office station 3. Dare Alo's face remained smooth. "Station 3 is used by many staff." "It is inside your office." The lobby went quiet again. Dare smiled. "A probationary receptionist is now accusing management because she fears discipline." Halima reached into her pocket. It was empty. Her heart stopped. The receipt. She had given it to Sola. Sola Adebayo's hand moved inside his trouser pocket. He felt the folded paper. He did not bring it out. Not yet. The police could document it. But Dare still controlled the hotel system. The central audit was already secured. Morning would bring the board, compliance team and forensic records into one room. Sola made a decision. "I will remain on the premises voluntarily," he said. "Not in a locked room. I will attend the scheduled corporate forum at 9 tomorrow morning. After that, I will give a full statement with supporting documents." Dare stared at him. "You are not invited to any forum." Sola looked at him. The confidence in his voice caused one of the officers to study him more closely. "Do you have somewhere safe to wait?" the officer asked. Sola looked towards the lobby chairs. "I have paid for a room." Dare let out a bitter laugh. The officer did not laugh. He told management to provide a safe waiting area and warned Marcus against further physical contact. He documented the seized phones and unlawful locking allegation. Because no one was formally arrested and the fire investigation remained active, the officers left after taking contact details. Dare was furious, but he also saw an opportunity. If Sola remained until morning, he could be displayed before the entire staff as the man who endangered the hotel. Halima could be dismissed publicly. Dare could position himself as the manager who protected the brand during a crisis. The forum was meant to announce new service standards. He would turn it into his victory. At 8:41 p.m., he ordered 2 banquet workers to place chairs in a small training room near the lobby. "Let them sit there," he told Marcus. "Keep the camera on. Do not lock the door." Then he called the night staff together. "No one speaks to those people," he said. "They are under investigation. Anybody who gives them food, water, or information will join them." One employee raised a hand. "Sir, they have not eaten." Dare turned slowly. "Did I ask you to turn this place into a charity center?" The hand dropped. Halima stood at the back of the group. Dare pointed at her. "You, my office." She followed him. Inside. The ruby jacket hung over his chair. His white shirt was marked with a faint gray line from smoke. On the desk lay the forged cancellation form, a blank incident statement, and her probation review. Dare closed the door. Sit. Halima remained standing. I said sit. She sat. Dare lowered himself into the chair opposite her. I am giving you one chance. She said nothing. You will sign this statement. It says the guest pressured you to create a false reservation after arriving without money. It says you allowed him into the service corridor. It says he touched the electrical panel before the alarm. Halima stared at the paper. None of that happened. Dare leaned back. Truth is a luxury for people whose salary is secure. My salary is not secure because of people like you. His eyebrows rose. Halima surprised herself. Dare smiled slowly. So the poor receptionist has found courage. I found evidence. The smile disappeared. What evidence? She looked at him. He watched her face too carefully. Halima understood that the missing receipt had already made him suspicious. She shifted her answer. The payment record. I have cancelled it. The central system keeps changes. Dare laughed. Who told you that? That roadside professor? The hotel training manual. He stood and walked around the desk. Listen to me. Tomorrow the board representatives will arrive. They will hear that you disobeyed management, assisted a trespasser, and caused financial damage. Nobody will believe a 3-month receptionist over me. Halima Alo's fingers pressed into her knees. Dare bent close. Sign, and I will keep you. You will return to reception after 2 weeks. Refuse, and by 9:15 tomorrow, your career in hospitality is finished. Halima looked at the signature line. Her mother Alo's prescription appeared in her mind. 34,000 naira. Her brother Alo's training fee. 21,000. The room rent. 180,000 due in 12 days. Courage did not pay bills. Dare had said it in another form, but the fear was real. He placed a pen before her. Sign. Halima picked up the pen. Dare relaxed. She held it above the paper. Then she placed it down. No. The word was barely louder than breath. Dare stared at her. What did you say? I said no. You will lose everything. Maybe. You think that man will save you? I do not know who he is. He is nobody. Halima raised her eyes. Even if he is nobody, I will not destroy him with a lie. Daryl's face tightened with anger. You stupid girl. No, sir. She stood. I have been afraid. That is not the same as being stupid. He slapped the desk so hard the pen jumped. You are dismissed. You cannot dismiss me tonight. My record has been frozen. The words escaped before Halima could stop them. Dare became still. How do you know that? She realized her mistake. I do not. Who told you? Nobody. Dare walked around the desk. That man. Halima moved towards the door. Dare blocked her. Who is he? I do not know. You are lying. For once, I am not the liar in this room. She reached for the door handle. Dare grabbed her wrist. Halima cried out. The office door opened from outside. Marcus stood there. He looked at Dare Alo's hand. Then at Halima Alo's face. Dare released her. She is refusing to cooperate. Marcus said nothing. For the first time that night, shame flickered across his face. It vanished quickly. Dare pointed towards the corridor. Take her staff card and bag. She stays in the training room until morning. Marcus hesitated. The police said no locking. Then do not lock it. Keep security outside. Halima walked past both men. Her wrist was red. As Marcus followed, she whispered, You heard what he wants to do. Marcus Alo's expression hardened. Keep walking. You know the fire was not sabotage. Keep walking. You know he refused to evacuate. Marcus leaned close. I know I have a family. So does everybody you were willing to leave inside that ballroom. He stopped. Halima kept walking. The sentence followed him. At 9:03 p.m. Sola. Ease and Halima sat in the training room. A security officer remained outside the open door. The room had no windows. 20 plastic chairs faced a whiteboard. A table in the corner held bottled water intended for the morning forum. The officer pretended not to notice when Halima took 3 bottles. She handed one to Sola. I refused to sign. I know, he said. How? Your face. She sat down. He said he dismissed me. He cannot complete it. You keep saying things like that. Sola looked at her. It is time I explain part of it. Ease turned towards him. Halima waited. Sola chose his words. I work with the company that owns this hotel. Halima stared. What kind of work? Senior oversight. Ease covered a smile with her hand. Halima noticed. Senior oversight? Yes, that sounds like a title made to avoid another title. It is accurate. Are you an auditor, in a way? Halima looked at his orange polo, torn bag, and old shoes. Then at his calm face. You came here to test us. I came to verify reports. You allowed them to humiliate you. Yes, you allowed him to punish me. Sola did not defend himself. Yes. Halima Alo's eyes filled with anger. So this is a game? No. To you perhaps not. You know you can return to your real life. I do not know whether I will have a job tomorrow. You will. That is not the point. Ease looked at her father. The same accusation she had made in the office now came from someone who had paid the price. Halima continued. When rich people test poor people, they call it character. When poor people test rich people, they call it fraud. The room became very quiet. Sola accepted the blow. You are right, he said. Halima had expected explanation, perhaps denial, not that. I should have intervened earlier when Dare threatened your employment. He continued. I protected your record, but I did not protect you from the fear. Those are not the same thing. Her anger did not disappear. It softened at the edges. Why did you not tell us who you are? Because I needed to know whether the problem was one rude manager or an organized system. And now? Now I know. Halima studied him. How senior is senior oversight? Sola glanced at Ease. Ease said, Very. Before Halima could ask again, the security officer outside shifted. Dare's voice passed through the corridor. Tomorrow Alo's forum begins at 9 sharp. I want every employee in the lobby by 8:45. We will address the sabotage and dismiss the responsible staff publicly. Halima Alo's face tightened. Sola looked towards the door. Let him. She turned to him. Let him disgrace me in front of everybody? No, Sola said. Let him finish building the stage. At 10:12 p.m., the fire service team completed its preliminary inspection. The damaged panel was sealed. The ballroom remained closed. Guests with affected rooms were relocated within the property or to nearby hotels. Dare complained about every transfer cost until the fire officer warned him that the building could be shut completely if safety directions were ignored. At 10:39 p.m., the rain stopped. Sola could have left. He did not. Ease could have gone home. She stayed beside him. Halima had nowhere else to go until the issue was resolved. She remained too. Near midnight, the hotel quietened. The wedding had ended without music. Conference delegates spoke in low voices. Staff cleaned the lobby beneath temporary lights because part of the main circuit had been isolated. Dare sat in his office and rewrote the incident report 3 times. In the first version, Sola had entered the service corridor at 6:20. In the second, 6:35. In the final version, 6:47. He chose the time that matched a gap he believed Marcus could create in the camera footage. Marcus entered at 12:18 a.m. The camera server is asking for dual approval, he said. Dare looked up. Since when? Maybe after the acquisition. I can change the displayed time, but the original metadata may remain. Then change the displayed time. What if central IT checks? Dare rubbed his face. By the time they check, The guest will be gone, and Halima will be dismissed. Marcus remained near the door. The man said his records were preserved. He is bluffing. He called somebody before police came. Everybody has a cousin who knows a lawyer. Marcus looked unconvinced. Dare opened the cash envelope again. You have already taken money from these room conversions. If I fall, you fall. That is why I am telling you to be careful. No, you are becoming weak. Marcus Allow's face hardened. Dare leaned back. Tomorrow morning, we control the story. The board sees a manager who protected 400 guests from sabotage. They see a security supervisor who acted quickly. They see a probationary worker who became emotionally compromised. And the electrical panel. The contractor overloaded it. Then why blame the man? Because an accident creates questions. A criminal creates applause. Marcus stared at him. There it was. The whole philosophy of Dar Balogun in one sentence. Truth was useful only when it improved his position. At 1:07 a.m., Halima remembered the payment receipt. Sola still had it. If they search you before the forum, they may take it. Ah, she whispered. The security officer outside was half asleep. Ease rested across 3 chairs. Sola sat against the wall, awake. Halima pointed towards the fire procedure manual on the training room shelf. Give it to me. Sola handed over the folded receipt. Halima opened the thick manual and slid it into the section titled Preservation of Incident Records. She almost laughed at the irony. They never read this manual, she said. How do you know? The evacuation list still contains 2 employees who left 8 months ago. Sola looked at the worn cover. Tomorrow, somebody will read all of it. Halima closed the book. At 2:36 a.m., Ease woke and found her father staring at her mother, Allow's photograph. You have not slept, she said. Neither have you. I slept for 1 hour. That is not sleep. She sat beside him. Are you angry? Yes, at Dare, at him, at Marcus, at the people who laughed, and at yourself. Sola looked at her. Yes. Ease leaned her head against his shoulder. Mummy would say, anger is useful, only if it knows where it is going. She said too many wise things. She married you. She needed them. Sola laughed softly. Then his face became serious. Tomorrow, when they know who I am, everybody will behave differently. Yes. That is the part I hate. Then do not make the reveal about your money. What should it be about? The records. The people they cheated. The workers they frightened. The fire they almost allowed to spread. Sola nodded. Ease lifted the broken frame and asked them one question. What question? Had you arrived in a convoy, would they have laughed when this fell? Sola looked at his daughter. That is your mother speaking again. No, that one is me. At 5:52 a.m., Lagos began to brighten behind grey clouds. Hotel staff arrived for the morning shift and heard rumors before they removed their raincoats. Some were told a poor man had tried to burn the hotel. Others heard that Halima had created a fake booking for her relative. A few believed Dare had saved the wedding guests by controlling a minor electrical fault. By 7:30, the story had changed 12 times. Dare encouraged every version that made him look important. He changed into a fresh white shirt and wore the ruby-red jacket again. He polished his shoes. He rehearsed his statement in front of the mirror. At 8:15, a projector was set up in the lobby. Rows of chairs faced a small platform. A banner behind it read, the Marula Grand Brand Renewal and Staff Excellence Forum. Dare ordered a smaller sign placed beside the stage, Zero Tolerance for Fraud and Sabotage. Halima saw it and felt sick. At 8:42, Marcus escorted Sola, Ease, and Halima from the training room. Every employee in the lobby turned to look. Whispers rose. That is the man. He came with fake booking. They said. He entered electrical room. Halima helped him. God forbid. See how small trouble becomes big trouble. Dare stood on the platform holding 3 sheets of paper. One was his incident report. One was the forged cancellation. The last was Halima Allo's termination letter. He looked at her and smiled. The smile said morning had come. It did not know what morning had brought with it. At exactly 9 a.m., Dare stepped to the microphone. He waited until the whispers reduced. The lobby was full. 96 permanent employees had been instructed to attend, along with many of the contract workers who were already on duty. Several wedding guests remained in the hotel because their transport had been delayed. Conference delegates stood near the business center. The fire service inspector and 2 electrical safety officers occupied seats at the side. Nobody wanted to miss what was coming. Dare adjusted the microphone. Good morning, distinguished representatives, valued guests, and members of the Marula Grand family. His voice was warm now, professional. The same mouth that had called Sola a roadside beggar now spoke about family. Last night, this hotel faced a serious threat. Dare continued. Through the courage of management and security, more than 400 guests were protected from an individual who entered our premises with suspicious documents and moved into a restricted technical area. He pointed towards Sola. Every face turned. Sola stood at the back beside Ease. His orange polo had dried with faint watermarks across the shoulders. The torn canvas bag rested at his feet. The towel-wrapped photograph was in Ezelo's hands. Dare continued. Sadly, this individual did not act alone. A probationary employee abused her access, compromised our reservation system, and encouraged disorder during a major event. He pointed at Halima. She stood alone near the first row. Her grey laundry apron had been removed, but her mustard jacket had not been returned. Without it, she looked unfinished, as though the hotel had already begun erasing her. Dare lifted the forged cancellation form. This document proves that the so-called guest voluntarily cancelled his reservation. Yet he refused to leave. He created a disturbance, entered staff areas, and later denied his own signature. A murmur moved through the room. Dare raised the incident report. Arn's security records also place him near the service electrical panel shortly before smoke was detected. Marcus stood beside the stage in his emerald uniform. He did not look at Sola. He did not look at Halima. He stared straight ahead. Dare Allo's voice became solemn. At the Marula Grand, compassion must never become carelessness. We cannot allow emotional weakness to destroy professional standards. We cannot permit people who do not belong here to manipulate staff with stories of suffering. Halima Allo's face burned. A receptionist in the second row lowered her eyes. She had laughed when the photograph broke. Dare picked up at the termination letter. Effective immediately, Halima Williams is dismissed for gross misconduct, data manipulation, unauthorized access, and conduct capable of damaging the reputation of this hotel. He held the paper out. Come and collect your letter. Halima did not move. Dare smiled. Do not make us wait. You have already wasted enough of our time. Halima Allo's legs felt heavy. She heard her mother Allo's voice in her memory, asking whether the salary had entered. She saw her brother bending over a broken refrigerator compressor. She saw the landlord Allo's last message. Then she remembered the ballroom alarm. 400 people moving towards the exits. The fire officer saying one word, "Good." Halima stepped forward, not to collect the letter, to face Dare. I did not manipulate any data, she said. Her voice did not reach the back. Dare tapped the microphone. Speak louder. Since you want to defend yourself, let everybody hear. Halima looked at the crowd. Many of the faces belonged to people who had worked beside her. Some were sympathetic. Most were afraid. A few already believed the story Dare had spread. She moved closer to the microphone. I did not create a false booking, she said. The payment entered at 8:43 yesterday morning. Room 1107 was assigned. The room was later sold to another guest for cash. The crowd stirred. Dare laughed. Where is your evidence? Halima looked towards the training room shelf, then remembered the manual had been brought to the forum for the safety discussion. It lay on a side table near the projector. She moved towards it. Marcus stepped in front of her. Stay where you are. Dare raised one hand. Allow her. Let us see this final performance. Halima opened the fire procedure manual. She turned to the section on incident records. The folded receipt was gone. Her breath stopped. She checked again. Nothing. Darella's smile widened. Are you looking for another document you plan to manufacture? Halima stared at the empty pages. She had placed it there herself. Somebody had removed it. Her courage wavered. Dare saw it. He lifted the termination letter again. Collect your letter. A voice came from the back. Ask Mr. Adebayo to collect his first. Everybody turned. The main glass doors had opened. A group of 6 people entered the lobby. At the front walked Crestline Aloe's compliance lawyer carrying a sealed evidence case. Beside her was the lead forensic auditor with 2 laptops. Behind them came a representative of the holding company, ELO's board, and members of the corporate operations team. Darell's expression brightened. He believed rescue had arrived. Welcome, he said quickly. We were just addressing the security incident. I have prepared a full report for the board. The board representative did not shake his hand. He looked past Dare. Mr. Adebayo, he said, I am sorry you and your daughter were made to wait. The lobby became silent. Dare frowned. There are many Adebayos, he said, almost automatically. The board representative walked towards Sola. When he reached him, he stopped with formal respect. Chairman, the server mirror was completed at 5:22 yesterday evening. The forensic team is ready. Chairman. The word crossed the lobby like thunder. Somebody gasped. A glass slipped from a banquet worker aloes tray. It struck the marble and broke. Nobody bent to pick it. Dare stared at Sola. His mouth opened. No sound came. Marcus Elo's hand fell away from his belt. Halima looked at Sola, then at Ease, then back at Sola. Senior oversight, very senior. Sola stepped away from the back wall. He did not change clothes. He did not straighten his polo. He did not need to. The people who had laughed now moved aside without being asked. He walked towards the stage in old black shoes. Dare Aloe's face had become grey beneath the lobby lights. Sir, he whispered, there has been a misunderstanding. Sola stopped in front of him. A misunderstanding? Yes, sir. The staff did not recognize. Sola raised one hand. Do not finish that sentence. Dare swallowed. Sola looked at the employees, the guests, and the officials gathered around them. My name is Sola Adebayo, he said. I am the chairman and beneficial owner of Crestline Hospitality Holdings, the company that owns this hotel. Whispers broke out. Sola waited. When they stopped, he continued, But my money is not the evidence. He turned towards Dare. Your records are. The lead auditor connected a laptop to the projector. The banner behind the stage remained visible above the screen. Bran Renowal. The first slide appeared. Room 1107. Reservation history. A timeline showed Sola Aloe's booking created the previous day. Payment approved at 8:43 am. Room assigned at 9:02. Check-in status remained confirmed until Darella's administrator account opened the file at 4:34 p.m. The next line appeared. Reservation cancelled while jet present. Then another. Room raced as cash walk-in. 750,000. A sound moved through the lobby. Not a gasp. Something lower. Disgust. Dare took one step backwards. The platform may have duplicated. The auditor clicked again. A scan of the manual payment receipt appeared on the screen. Payment proved. Oft co. 641983. Hatima stared. The receipt, she whispered. The compliance lawyer held up a transparent evidence sleeve. We removed the original from the manual at 6:35 this morning after photographing its location and obtaining 2 witness signatures, she said. It was preserved before hotel management could access the forum materials. Darrow's eyes moved towards Marcus. Marcus looked away. The next slide displayed the forged cancellation form. Beside it appeared the system access record. Document uploaded. 6:42 p.m. H. Williams, Sonko Dimes, Front Office Station 3. Administrator, Rise. D. Balogun. The auditor enlarged the metadata. Halima Williams was logged into a laundry floor terminal at the same time, he explained. Her account token was duplicated through an administrator override from Mr. Balogun Allo's office. Dare gripped the podium. That can happen automatically. No, the auditor said. It required your password and a physical security key assigned to you. Daretho's lips moved. Nothing came out. The next screen showed 11 cancellation forms arranged side by side. Different guests. Similar signatures. Identical formatting errors. Over the last 11 months, the compliance lawyer said, 37 prepaid reservations were converted into no-shows after guests reached the hotel. 23 rooms were sold again for cash. We have identified 18,731,500 in unreported receipts and a further 6,408,000 listed as guest compensation without valid recipients. Employees began looking at one another. A contract worker in the back covered her mouth. One of the receptionists sat down slowly. Dare lifted both hands. Sir, I was trying to improve revenue. The hotel targets are unrealistic. Sometimes discounted guests fail to understand booking conditions. Sola turned towards him. Did targets instruct you to forge signatures? No, sir. But did targets instruct you to sell the same room twice? I was protecting the property from low-value bookings. Low-value bookings? Dare realized too late what he had said. Sola stepped closer. A guest paid the agreed rate. You decided his value from his clothes. Sir, if I had known it was you. Sola Alo's voice sharpened. That is the sentence I told you not to finish. The entire lobby went still. He pointed towards the audience. Every person you cheated was somebody. Every worker you frightened was somebody. My ownership did not make your behavior wrong. It only made it difficult for you to bury. Halima Alo's eyes filled. Sola turned to the auditor. Continue. The screen changed. 19 deleted complaints appeared with recovery timestamps. Guests described being mocked for arriving in old cars, for speaking with rural accents, for wearing simple clothes, and for booking through discount platforms. One complained that security called him a beggar. Another said a receptionist laughed when his payment failed to appear immediately. A third wrote that her mother had been left outside in the rain while staff checked in guests who arrived later. The words filled the screen. Dare could not look at them. The auditor moved to payroll records. 43 staff schedules had been edited after shifts were completed. 179 overtime hours had disappeared. 26 salary deductions were made for damaged guest items without signed investigations. The housekeeping worker whose payslip Sola had returned stood near the side wall. Her eyes widened when her deduction appeared. Sola saw her. So the guests were not the only people whose silence you purchased with fear, he said. Dare shook his head. Some department heads handled payroll. You cannot place everything on me. No, Sola replied. That is why the investigation will not stop with you. For one brief second, several senior staff looked terrified. Sola did not enjoy it. Fear alone could not build a better hotel, but truth had to open the door. The projector displayed the fire inspection file. The safety officer stood. The distribution panel serving the ballroom had been flagged for replacement 7 weeks ago, he said. The submitted follow-up certificate states the work was completed on September 29. Physical inspection confirms it was not. A scanned signature appeared. Marcus Ibe. The security supervisor shifted. Dare spoke quickly. Security handled the contractor. Marcus turned towards him. You told me the replacement would be done after the pharmaceutical conference. Dare stared at him. Be careful. You said we only needed the certificate for the insurer. Dare moved away from the microphone. This man is lying to protect himself. The auditor clicked again. An audio waveform appeared. Ease stepped forward. Her phone recording began to play through the speakers. Dare Allo's voice filled the lobby. Do not touch it. It may be a small wire fault. We will handle it. Then Halima Allo's voice. The smoke is increasing. Dare again. If you disrupt this wedding over a burning socket, I will deduct every refund from your salary. A murmur became an angry wave. The audio continued. Halima, if you touch that alarm, you are finished. Then the sound of the alarm, sharp, relentless. The recording stopped. Everybody looked at Halima, not as a dismissed worker, as the person who had pulled the alarm when management refused. The fire officer rose from his chair. If that alarm had been delayed by another 8 to 12 minutes, he said, heat could have spread from the storage area into decorative material along the ballroom service wall. Early evacuation prevented a dangerous crowd movement under smoke conditions. He looked at Halima. She acted correctly. The words struck Dare harder than shouting. Halima Allo's mouth trembled. Dare grabbed the microphone. I was controlling panic. Any manager would consider the financial and reputational consequences of an unnecessary evacuation. Sola took the microphone from his hand. A wedding can be rescheduled, he said. A life cannot. Applause broke from the back. One person began it, then another. Soon the lobby filled with it. Halima covered her face. Dare stood beside the podium as the sound rose around him. He had planned public shame for her. Instead, the crowd was honoring the decision he had threatened to punish. Marcus moved towards the side exit. The compliance lawyer stepped into his path. Mr. Ibe, your system access has been suspended. Please remain available for the investigators. I have done nothing. The auditor displayed CCTV metadata. 4 nights, 4 deleted time blocks, 4 administrator logins from Marcus Allo's security account. Then bank transfers appeared. Cash deposits made within 24 hours of converted room sales. Marcus stopped moving. Dare looked at him with hatred. Marcus looked back. Their partnership had survived while the truth remained hidden. Under light, it collapsed in seconds. Sola faced the staff. This forum was meant to announce service standards, he said. We will still discuss standards, but first, I must address my own responsibility. Some people looked surprised. Dare looked hopeful, as though shared responsibility might reduce his own. Sola continued. This hotel operated under a company I own. Our reports praised revenue and occupancy. They did not show the fear beneath those numbers. We rewarded managers for filling rooms, but we failed to measure how they treated the people in those rooms. We provided a complaint channel controlled by the same managers being complained about. We allowed scheduled audits to become performances. He paused. That failure belongs to leadership. It belongs to me. Ease watched him from beside the stage. Halima did too. Sola turned towards Dare. My responsibility does not erase yours. Dare Allo's hope vanished. You ordered false records. You retaliated against staff. You attempted to blame an electrical failure on a guest. You refused to evacuate a ballroom after visible smoke. Effective immediately. You are suspended from all duties pending disciplinary and criminal investigation. You will surrender every company device and access credential. Darrow's knees seemed to weaken. Sir, please. I have served this hotel for 6 years. You used 6 years of trust to build 11 months of documented fraud. I have a family. So do the workers whose wages were deducted. So do the guests you left outside. So do the people in that ballroom. Dare looked around for support. No one met his eyes. He turned to Halima. This girl provoked everything. She has been insubordinate from the beginning. Halima stepped forward. I checked a payment, she said. I gave water to a guest. I pulled a fire alarm. Which one destroyed you? The question landed. Dare had no answer. Sola faced Marcus. You are also suspended pending investigation for falsifying security records, accepting unauthorized payments, seizing personal devices, and unlawfully restricting movement. Marcus Allow's face hardened. I was following management instruction. A uniform does not remove judgment. Sola looked at both men. Neither of you will be assaulted, paraded outside, or punished without process. The evidence will be preserved. You will have the opportunity to respond. But your positions will not shield you from consequences. The compliance team collected their access cards. Dare unclipped his badge. His hand shook. The badge he had used like a weapon now looked very small. He placed it on the podium. Marcus did the same. The two men were escorted to separate meeting rooms to wait for investigators. No one clapped this time. The satisfaction in the lobby was quieter. Heavier. It was the sound of power leaving the wrong hands. Sola picked up Halima Allow's termination letter. He tore it once, then stopped. Halima looked at him. He placed the two pieces on the podium. This document must remain in the evidence file, he said. We do not oversee wrongdoing, even when we are correcting it. He turned to her. Halima Williams, your employment remains active. You will receive full pay for every hour worked, including tonight. You are protected from retaliation while the investigation continues. Tears ran down her face. Thank you, sir. Sola shook his head. Do not thank me for returning what should never have been taken. He looked at the crowd. And do not misunderstand what happened here. Halima did not deserve protection because she helped the owner. She deserved protection because she told the truth. The lobby was silent. Ease stepped onto the platform carrying the towel-wrapped frame. She removed the towel. The broken photograph was visible to everyone. She held it up. Yesterday when this fell, some people laughed, she said. So I have one question. Her eyes moved across the reception staff, security workers, managers, and guests. If my father had arrived in a convoy wearing an expensive suit, would anybody have laughed when his bag broke? Nobody answered. A receptionist began to cry quietly. Ease continued. If the answer is no, then the problem is not that you failed to recognize a billionaire. The problem is that you believed a poor father could be humiliated safely. The silence changed. It was no longer fear. It was recognition. Sola took the photograph from her. He looked at his wife Elo's smiling face beneath the crack. Then he faced the staff. You thought the poorest thing in this lobby was my shirt, he said. It was the character of the people who laughed. Nobody moved. Outside, morning light struck the glass entrance. The gold letters above the doors shone as brightly as they had the day before. But inside, the hotel had been stripped of its performance. What remained was the truth. And truth was not finished. The investigation lasted 32 days. It did not end with one dramatic morning. That would have been easy. Real repair was slower. The forensic team reviewed 11,406 reservation changes, 824 cash entries, and every staff schedule edited during the previous 12 months. Former employees were contacted. Guests whose complaints had vanished were asked to submit documents again. Payment providers confirmed transaction times. The fire service report was matched against contractor invoices and inspection photographs. The final findings were worse than the first report. 37 prepaid reservations had been manipulated. 23 rooms had been sold twice. 19 complaints had been deleted. 11 signatures had been copied or digitally altered. 43 employee schedules had been changed after shifts were completed. 26 workers had received unauthorized salary deductions. The missing and misclassified money totaled more than 25 million naira. Darilo's employment was terminated after a formal hearing. The company filed claims to recover the missing funds and submitted the forgery and payment evidence to the appropriate authorities. He was not dragged away in handcuffs for a camera. He was not beaten. He was not given the easy escape of becoming a victim. He had to answer documents one by one. That was harder. During the hearing, Dare tried to explain that the Hotel Aloe's profit targets had pressured him. The panel asked why pressure always seemed to fall on people wearing cheap clothes and workers with temporary contracts. He had no useful answer. He tried to say that luxury hospitality required protecting the environment from people who did not fit. The panel asked who had given him the authority to decide which human being fit inside a lobby. Again, no answer. In the end, Dare signed an asset disclosure agreement and began repayment of the funds that could be traced to him while the legal case continued. He lost the position that had made people fear him. More painfully, he lost the story he had told himself. That cruelty was leadership, and prejudice was business sense. Marcus Aloe's security certification was suspended pending review. The altered camera records and unexplained deposits were transferred to investigators. He returned part of the money and admitted changing displayed timestamps on 4 occasions. He said he had followed orders. The investigators asked whether any order had prevented him from knowing right from wrong. It had not. The Marula Grand contacted every guest identified in the audit. They received full refunds. Documented transport and replacement hotel expenses were reimbursed. Written apologies were sent under Sola Adebayo's signature. Guests were offered the choice of further compensation by bank transfer or future accommodation. Nobody was forced to accept a voucher from the same hotel that had humiliated them. Some accepted the apology. Some did not. Sola understood. An apology was not a command that required forgiveness. The housekeeping worker received her 18,500 deduction back. So did 25 others. 179 missing overtime hours were paid with corrections. Staff contracts were reviewed in plain language. Meal benefits were rewritten as entitlements, not privileges. The notice in the canteen came down. Ease watched as a worker peeled it from the wall. Staff meals are a privilege, not a right. The paper tore across the middle. Nobody tried to preserve that one as evidence. It had already said enough. A third-party whistleblowing line was introduced. Complaints no longer passed through local management. Staff could report anonymously by phone or online. And every complaint received a tracking number visible to corporate compliance. Shift records required 2 approvals before changes could be made after clock-out. Cash walk-in payments were reconciled against room inventory each night. Overbooking cases automatically triggered alternative accommodation and transport support. Fire safety changes came first. The damaged panel was replaced before the ballroom reopened. Every exit route was tested. Temporary decoration suppliers had to submit load calculations and certificates. Staff attended practical evacuation training every 3 months. Management performance reviews began including safety compliance, employee turnover, unresolved complaints, and guest treatment audits. Revenue remained important. It was no longer allowed to hide everything else. Sola also changed. He stopped relying on polished reports from executives who only visited prepared hotels. Once every month, he held a private session with entry-level workers from one Crestline property. No direct supervisors were allowed in the room. Employees could submit questions before attending. Meeting notes were published without names. The first session was uncomfortable. A kitchen assistant asked why senior executives received bonuses while temporary workers waited weeks for overtime. A receptionist asked why mystery guests tested courtesy, but never tested whether managers protected staff from abusive customers. A cleaner asked why company photographs always showed smiling workers, but annual reports never showed how many had resigned. Sola did not have immediate answers for everything. For the first time, he stopped pretending leadership required one. He wrote the questions down, then he returned with answers later. Halima remained on paid status throughout the investigation. She was offered counseling after the fire and the public accusation. At first, she refused. "I am fine," she said. Ease looked at her. "You have not slept properly in 3 weeks. I am managing." That phrase has become dangerous in this hotel. Halima laughed. Then she attended. She did not become general manager overnight. Good character was not a magical certificate in hotel operations. She still had areas to learn: revenue control, labor scheduling, conflict documentation, and data compliance. Sola refused to turn her into a symbol and then place her in a role that would set her up to fail. Instead, she completed a 6-month compliance and service recovery program while continuing front office work. She spent 2 days each month with the audit team. She learnt how reservation logs could be preserved, how retaliation cases were investigated, and how guests should be relocated during genuine overbooking. 6 months after the fire, she was appointed Guest Integrity and Service Recovery Officer. The position was new. It gave her authority to review disputed reservations, protect original complaint records, and escalate safety or retaliation concerns directly to corporate compliance. Her salary increased by 42%. The first thing she did was pay her mother aloe's medication for 6 months in advance. The second was to tell her brother he no longer had to postpone his refrigeration examination. The third was to buy herself 2 new work blouses. She kept the old teal scarf. It reminded her of the night fear had sat inside her body, and she had pulled the alarm anyway. One afternoon, Dare sent Halima a written apology through his lawyer. It was 4 paragraphs long. He admitted that he had judged her weakness by her employment status. He admitted that he had believed her need for salary would force her to lie. He did not ask her to withdraw evidence. He did not ask for forgiveness. Halima read the letter twice. Then she placed it in the investigation file. She did not reply. Some apologies repair a relationship. Others only prove that the truth finally entered the room. Ease completed her university research under a new title: How Incentives Turn Prejudice into Policy. Her paper argued that class discrimination in service businesses was not always a collection of rude moments. When management rewarded revenue without accountability, prejudice could become an operating tool. Staff learnt that poor-looking guests were easier to displace. Silence and blame. The insult came first. The fraud followed. She presented the research before a panel of hospitality professionals. Sola sat in the last row. He did not tell anybody he was her father until the presentation ended. Afterward, Ease found him outside the hall. "You enjoyed hiding again," she said. "I was not hiding. I was sitting in the last row. It had a better view." She squeezed her face at him. He laughed. Then she asked, "Did you learn anything?" "Yes." "What?" "That my daughter is more frightening with slides than most lawyers are with evidence." "That is not the lesson." "No, but it is true." The repaired photograph returned to Sola Adebayo's bedside. The frame specialist had offered to replace the damaged wood completely. Sola refused. He asked that the broken corner be strengthened and the glass changed. But one thin line in the wooden frame should remain visible. Ease questioned him. "Why keep the crack?" "Because polished things can lie." Ah, she understood. A perfect frame would have hidden what happened. The repaired one remembered. 7 months after the forum, Sola and Ease returned to the Marula Grand on another Friday afternoon. This time, Sola wore a cobalt blue suit over a white shirt. His shoes were new. A company vehicle stopped at the driveway. But before he stepped out, he saw a delivery rider arrive on an old motorcycle. A large food container was tied behind the seat. Rain had begun to fall lightly. The rider removed his helmet and looked uncertainly towards the entrance. A doorman came outside with an umbrella. For 1 second, Sola waited. The doorman walked past the company vehicle and covered the rider first. "Good afternoon, sir," he said. "Which department are you delivering to? Let me help you keep the package dry." The rider smiled with relief. Sola remained inside the car. Ease watched too. "He did not see us," she said. "I know. That is better." Yes. They entered after the delivery rider. The lobby still had cream marble, chandeliers and gold letters. Luxury had not disappeared. There was nothing wrong with beauty, comfort, or profit. The problem had been the belief that those things mattered more than people. Halima stood near the front desk, wearing her mustard gold jacket and teal scarf. Her new badge read Guest Integrity. She greeted the delivery rider before turning towards Sola. "Good afternoon, sir." "Good afternoon, Ease." "No special welcome?" Ease asked. Halima smiled. "Everybody gets the same welcome now." Sola looked around. A guest wearing slippers sat beside a woman in an expensive suit. A cleaner spoke to a manager without lowering her eyes. The canteen notice board displayed emergency numbers, pay schedules, and complaint tracking instructions in clear print. The hotel was not perfect. No institution became good because one bad manager left. There were still complaints. Staff still made mistakes. Guests still became impatient. Budgets still created pressure. The difference was that pressure no longer had permission to travel downward until it crushed the person least able to resist. Sola placed a small parcel on Halima Adebayo's desk. "What is this?" she asked. "Open it later." "No, sir. The gift policy. It is not money." She opened it carefully. Inside was a framed copy of the payment receipt from room 1107. Below it, one sentence had been printed. "The truth should never depend on wish or can afford to defend it." Halima stared at the words. Then she looked at Sola. "This should be in your office." "No," he said. "It belongs where the first truth was spoken." She placed the frame behind the reception desk, not as decoration, as a warning. Years later, some employees would hear only the shortened version of what happened. They would say a billionaire dressed like a poor man and caught his staff insulting him. That version was dramatic. It was also incomplete. The real lesson was not that people should be careful because a poor-looking stranger might secretly own the building. That lesson would still make respect depend on hidden wealth. The real lesson was harder. Sola should have been treated with dignity even if the orange polo was the best shirt he owned. Izalo's grief should have mattered even if her father had no powerful name. Halima Adebayo's truth should have been protected even if nobody important had witnessed it. The ballroom should have been evacuated even if every person inside was unable to demand compensation. Human dignity is not a reward. It is not a hotel upgrade. It is not something given after a bank balance is confirmed. To me, the most painful part was never that they mocked a billionaire. It was that they believed a poor father deserved less respect. Marble floors, expensive uniforms, and polished English can make a hotel look first class. But a place becomes truly first class only when the person with the least power is still treated like a human being. Wealth may reveal character. It should never be required before dignity is given.